The stock market's crashing and a recession might be looming. What's behind Trump's tariffs and why should we care? Chamath Palihapitiya, billionaire investor, is here to break it down. Trump's tariffs aren't just about sparking a trade war, they're a strategy to rebalance global trade. Chamath explains that decades of outsourcing have left the U.S. vulnerable, with key industries hollowed out. While the U.S. relies heavily on China for critical supplies, Trump's tariffs aim to address this imbalance and bring manufacturing back home. The tariffs are pushing the U.S. towards self-sufficiency, particularly in industries like tech and energy. Chamath explains how China's grip on rare earth materials, batteries, and other crucial components puts the U.S. at risk. The goal is to realign supply chains, reduce dependency, and strengthen the country's position on the global stage. But it's not without controversy. Many U.S. corporations, like Apple, have been resistant to the tariffs because of the cheap manufacturing costs they benefit from overseas. However, Trump's focus is on the broader picture, making trade fairer for everyone, not just big corporations. The tariffs are forcing the U.S. to rethink its global strategy. Instead of a tit-for-tat approach, Trump aims for proportional trade, adjusting U.S. imports and exports to reflect real value. Chamath argues that the long-term goal is to reduce America's trade deficits and restore industries that have been lost to outsourcing. But it's not all smooth sailing. The market's reaction to tariffs has been mixed, with some fearing that they'll lead to a recession. Chamath explains that while the tariffs may cause short-term pain, they're necessary for long-term gain, especially when it comes to rebuilding American industries and securing vital supply chains. Critics of the tariffs argue that they hurt everyday Americans, driving up prices on products. Chamath counters this by pointing out that the U.S. could use tariff revenue to ease the burden on consumers. He suggests that this could be used to fund tax cuts for middle-income families, potentially offsetting some of the impact of higher prices. Looking ahead, Chamath is cautiously optimistic. He believes that if the U.S. can leverage its consumer power and work out new trade agreements, it could reshape global trade in its favor. However, China's own economic troubles, like its aging population, could limit its ability to respond effectively. The tariffs may also pave the way for new global agreements, with the U.S. potentially creating alliances with Western nations to counter China's influence. Chamath envisions a future where tariffs are used strategically to not just protect American jobs, but also to shift the global power dynamic. As Chamath wraps up, he reflects on the bigger picture. The tariffs could create the necessary conditions for job growth, innovation, and economic resilience, but it will take time and smart policies to see the full benefits. The discussion leaves us with a sense of uncertainty, but also hope. The journey toward a more balanced global trade system is just beginning, and whether it leads to a recession or a new era of growth is still up in the air.